Hello and welcome into this week's edition of the ARCA Racing Series Rewind Show, right here on Racing News Now. As always, I'm your host, Garth Allen. Thank you once again for joining me today. If this is your first time catching a Racing News Now video, welcome. This is a channel where we discuss lots of motorsports, namely NASCAR, ARCA, IndyCar, and Formula One. Those are the series that we cover at the moment. We do plan to broaden that scope eventually, though. So on tonight's edition of the ARCA Rewind Show, we're looking back at last night's Papa Nicholas Coffee 150. And I am just going to start off by apologizing for this getting out as late as it has. We're about 24 hours removed from this race at this point by the time it's uploading. I was trying to wait throughout the day to see if we could get Sheldon Creed on here for a winner interview this evening, so you can hear from him. Unfortunately, it's very hard to actually get Sheldon the day after a race. As we have noticed throughout this season, we couldn't get him after Michigan. We can't get him after this one either, because he usually travels back home to California the day after a race. So between the flight and everything else, it's just hard to catch him in the middle of all the traveling to actually get him on the day after the race. So we'll get him on eventually for you, but unfortunately today is not that day. So we're just going to jump right into the results from last night, and as we mentioned, Alpine, California's Sheldon Creed picks up the victory in this one. Chase Purdy right behind him in second, with Harrison Burton rounding out and MDM Motorsports 1, 2, 3 in third. Christian Eckes probably had one of the two best cars between himself and Sheldon Creed last night. Late race drama on the final restart. What might have been considered a bump and run, I'm not really sure, because I'm not sure that Sheldon actually touched Christian. You can go back, I'm sure the video's on YouTube somewhere, you can go back and check that for yourself and make your own assessment of that. I don't know. I don't know if you'd call that a bump and run, or if that was Sheldon packing air on the left rear of Christian's car, or if it was just Christian moving up the track to avoid Sheldon actually hitting him. Either way, Christian up out of the groove on the final restart, drops to fifth. Fourth was all he could rebound for. Riley Herbst had a very up and down night, couple different problems on pit road. Finally salvages a top 5 finish, though, in 5th. Rest of your top 10, Gus Dean. Anthony Alfredo in 7th in his first ARCA Racing Series start. He's been running for MDM Motorsports in the K&N Series, making his first ARCA start last night in the 40 car, which was a 5th entry for MDM Motorsports in this race, coming home with a respectable 7th place finish. Joe Graff Jr., Travis Braden, and Brett Holmes, the rest of your top 10. Now, as we look here, 11th through 20th, some interesting names on this list. First off, got to mention Kenny Schrader there in 11th. Great to see Kenny Schrader on the rundown here. Great to see him in a stock car running his cell phone Ken Schrader Racing number 52 car this week. His first ARCA start of the season, and a respectable run at that in 11th. Tony Breidinger comes home in the 12th position, her second start in the ARCA Racing Series. First one, of course, coming last weekend in Madison, where she finished 10th. She has one more start slated for Venturini Motorsports coming up on Thursday in Chicagoland, and that will be her final start of the season. Bobby Gerhart with a nice run there in 14th. Natalie Decker had a decent night going, and then gets punted in the left rear by Brett Holmes into turn 1, into the wall, lots of damage. 15th, 4 laps down, was all she could rebound for on the night. Zane Smith, kind of a similar story to the Sheldon Creed, Christian Eckes deal. Zane Smith was battling Gus Dean through 1 and 2, and I don't know if there was contact on this one either, but they both kind of run high off the corner off of turn 2. Zane gets loose and ends up in the wall coming off of turn number 2. Lots of damage there. Had to go behind the wall for a couple laps to fix that one. 7 laps down in 16th for Zane Smith. Max Tolman back in the 78 car for Mason Mitchell Motorsports this week. He was out on lap 44 after a wreck coming off of turn 2. 1 and 2 seemed to be the calamity corners on the night. 21st through 25th, all these cars not making it to the end. In fact, lap 16 was the furthest any of these cars made for one reason or another. So that's your results from the Papa Nicholas Coffee 150. Now let's check out the point standings following this race before we wrap up tonight. Sheldon Creed, as we see here, obviously with the win, extending his points lead and extending it a pretty good margin with Zane Smith's bad luck on the night. Zane Smith now 155 points behind Sheldon Creed. Not an insurmountable amount, but it is a pretty big gap here, and we're now halfway through the season. This was race number 10 of 20. It can be done. Zane can catch up to Sheldon, but he's going to need some help. Sheldon would need to have a little bit of bad luck going down the stretch, I think, for Zane to really close that gap. And even at that, I think Zane is going to need a few more wins. Chase Purdy jumps up a spot over Travis Braden, but this whole middle portion of the top 10 really still very close. Chase Purdy, Travis Braden, Gus Dean all within 30 points of each other. Natalie Decker slipping a little back from that battle after her bad luck on the night, slipping slightly closer to Brett Holmes. She only has a 45-point gap down to him now. So that's your point standings following the Papa Nicholas Coffee 150, and I think that will do it for us tonight. Again, I want to apologize for not getting Sheldon Creed on tonight. We did the best we could, but unfortunately we just couldn't get his schedule to line up right to be able to get him on tonight. We'll get him on eventually, though. Lots of stuff coming up for you here in the next couple of days. Truck Rewind coming up later tonight. That'll wrap up probably sometime around the time this is going up, actually. So probably not too long after this goes up. You'll see a Truck Rewind probably, I'd say probably a couple hours afterward or so, give or take. Then we'll, of course, have a Cup Series Rewind tomorrow following their race in Sonoma, as well as Pole Position is always on Monday, wrapping up all three of these stock car races, as well as IndyCar from Road America and F1 from France. So you want to tune in to Pole Position Monday night for all of that. Lots of exciting stuff coming up over the next couple days. If you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing from racing news now. And hit that big thumbs up button if you like the video. It is much appreciated when you do. So with that, this has been the ARCA Racing Series Rewind Show. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.